Hey guys, today we're going to talk to Mark Pettus. Mark Pettus is one of my best friends, and he's also the president of Highlands College. Highlands College is a college that Church of the Highlands started in 2011. Church of the Highlands is one of the most respected churches on planet Earth. We're going to talk to Mark about his family, growing up in small town Alabama, his football career, his wonderful wife Jill, his boys, and his relationship with Chris Hodges. You're not going to want to miss this. This was an awesome conversation. Hey, so tell me about growing up. Tell me about you, where you came from, kind of what life was like from birth to, you moved to college.
Yeah, I grew up in East Alabama, Clay County, an incredible place.
Population, not very many.
Yeah, kind of one of those places where time stands still, which I consider a privilege of growing up there. Graduated high school with like 40 people. Love my parents. My parents are both educators, so grew up in a home that was really focused on learning. They both taught in a local public school there in Lineville, Alabama.
Wow.
And so got a older sister and then a younger brother and sister. Very close family. One of the things that was great growing up is we were in this small town and with lots of deep relationships and lots of great people and opportunities. But then also we traveled a lot with my parents being teachers.
That's right. I totally forgot about this. Yeah. So for those of y'all that don't know, Mark and I went to college together, and so this is going to be really, really easy from a conversational standpoint. So talk about the crazy trips you and your folks used to take and how borderline crazy your dad was about these trips.
Yeah, well, my parents grew up in the '60s, so they were infused with that just that season of time and the adventure road trip kind of thing. So, being teachers, they had the entire summer off. And we had the summer off, obviously. So we had a little RV, not much bigger than a van, and the six of us would load up every summer. We'd drive. I mean, literally drove to 45 different states growing up.
45 states.
Went to Alaska 3 times.
Okay, so that's my favorite.
Yeah.
That's my favorite. So tell us about, so you're in Lineville, Alabama, halfway between Birmingham and Atlanta.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people are going to Google this when they see this. So, but you drove.
In a vehicle.
In a vehicle with five human
beings.
With
five other people to Alaska, which is about a week of driving. And of course, there's only one major road that goes to Alaska, the Alaskan Highway, and it's just a pretty rough drive. So, and once you're up there in the Yukon, you can go almost an entire day without even seeing civilization.
Wow. And
so honestly, incredible memories. As a family, it's something that brought us very close to each other, and then just you had lots of stories coming back to school in the fall.
So what would you do? So let's just talk about the trip. So what would you literally leave from Alabama, and it would take you how long to get to Alaska, and how did you get there?
At least a week. Yeah,
so you would drive for a week?
At least a week, yeah.
And what kind of car did you take?
Depending on how many KOAs you stopped in along the way.
Absolutely.
Some people will know what that is. So we know you drive 5, 6, 7 hours a day. You stop, and so even along the way though, you're seeing stuff. We would go to different battlefields. My dad's a big history guy and loves studying history, and so you just see America and meet a lot of people, and those are amazing memories. And for us as kids, we didn't know it was that different than a lot of other people's vacation, which was great. They would go to Panama City, we'd go to Alaska. I thought it was the same thing.
That's what I did. I went to the beach every summer. So growing up, I was majorly entrenched in sports. Dad was a football coach. That's what we did.
Yeah.
We went to the beach for a summer for a week, and then we come back and it was football from the time I was 5 until the time I was 33. So talk to me about the things that you did growing up in that small town.
Yeah, I think one of the things interesting about a small town, and I've read some things even recently on this, is there's not a lot to do.
Right.
So there's the negative part of it. It's like, hey, we just really don't have a lot to do. But the positive part of that, which I think long term has been a benefit in my life, is the creativity that comes from it.
For sure. Yeah.
You got to figure out what to do. And so, we were always, basically me and my friends, even growing up, it was always like, what do you want to do? And they're like, I don't know what you want to do.
Yeah.
We just would find a way to do something crazy, jump off a rope swing into a lake, or go hiking out in the woods. Ended up up hunting, fishing, doing all those kind of things. And so, sports is still a big part of our culture, and I think a little different maybe than what I've experienced here in Birmingham, where it's year round. There it was pretty seasonal, and there were big chunks of time where it was just hanging out, figuring it out. My grandfather owned a farm, so a lot of hard work there, which was really good for me, growing up.
One of the things I see with people that are from smaller towns, though, it's like I was from a small town, but like some of the things my parents let me do, I'm sitting there going, there's no way I would let my 3 kids do it.
Yeah.
Like some of the things that your folks let you do, like I would go hop on a 4-wheeler and be gone for 3 hours.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, by the way, no cell phones.
Yeah, no cell. Well, it didn't matter anyway. There's no service.
So I think being from a small town, my town's obviously not as small as yours, but the area, the community I was in was small. I think being from a small town helps you grow up in a way of, gives you a little bit more independence.
Yeah. Of course, it was a different time then, and I think
Sure.
I think the world has changed some. But no, I definitely think, independence. Once you survive 4 or 5 near-death experiences as a kid, you grow. You learn a little wisdom a little earlier, possibly.
Absolutely.
But no, it was definitely like that. Same for us. We were just kind of released to go and do,
Right.
and to check in by dark. That's the rule, right?
When it gets dark,
You gotta-
time change.
You got to be home.
Yeah.
You got to be home by dark.
Talk to me about some of the people. So everybody's got that 2, 3, 4, 5 people in their life that majorly influence them. So
Yeah.
you've got mentors and things in your 30s. Just had a birthday. So let's don't talk about those people. Let's talk about that from birth to probably 18 years old. Who are the people that were like that shaped you? Because I know who mine are, but who are the people that shaped you?
Yeah, that's very easy for me to kind of go through a list. First and foremost, my dad, and still is to this day, and I'm gonna spend time with him today. He's my hero. What I love about my dad is that he's a guy that I've never seen him have a bad day. Just his optimism is massive, and he's a learner. I already mentioned, he loves studying history, but honestly, he can do pretty much anything. In fact, today we're working on my house, and things that I still don't know how to do at 38 years old, and he's like a pro at it. So I think just that relationship, great conversation with him, always challenged me to learn, and then hard work. I played football, as you know, and Friday night football game, Saturday morning we were working.
Talk about football in your town now, like straight big time football.
Yeah, it was life or death. I know you experienced that.
Right, for sure.
That kind of small town rivalry, kind of what you would see on a smaller scale, but same intensity as Friday Night Lights. Where I was from a small town, we had this other small town, Ashland, that was a few miles away. And so just uniquely, there was this incredible rivalry which drove the teams. It's one of those, just like any business,
right.
Competition drives competition. Yeah. So everyone was driven to be good. So on both of those teams, so we ended up having a lot of success. They had a little more success at times, but it was a whole lot of fun. Yeah. So football was, as they say in Friday Night Lights, it was a way of life.
For us. It really was, because it was a situation where like you see it on TV and you're like, that really doesn't happen. Like.
Oh no,
places
for us,
shut down.
So all year long it's big, but yeah, in that one rivalry game, last game of the year called the Clay Bowl, it was Lineville, my team, versus Ashland. The governor would fly in,
right.
helicopter in.
Because he was from?
He was from Ashland,
right.
So yeah, we prayed for him. But anyway, so that was huge, and my dad supported that, but then we also had a lot of life outside of that, which I thought was really important. Our life wasn't just about sports; it was
right.
about a lot of things. So he's definitely, I would say, first and foremost, my hero. My second one was my youth pastor, Bill.
Absolutely.
And
he's one of mine.
Interesting.
It's just crazy.
Yeah, Small World was your youth pastor. And so I know for both of us, Bill called out leadership in us. And I think he was the first person that, looked at me and said, you're a leader and God's got a call in your life. And so that was huge. And not just saying this, bro, you would be on that list as well. So through Bill, meeting you, moving to college, for me was a big moment going small town to Birmingham.
Man, yeah, I remember those
You
days.
remember me?
I remember
the look on my face.
Yeah, for sure.
Literally the first night, we lived together, of course, our first year. So the first night we're in the dorm room. First night ever spending the night in Birmingham. I hear sirens going on. And,
so let me stop for a second.
Of course, 5 a.m. the next morning, you're waking me up. You're like, it's a great day to be a Blazer. I'm like, bro, let me sleep.
It's late. So let me put this in.
But you did start cooking for me.
I did.
That got me up, and now that's worked out well for you.
So let's give this thing some context. So you come from a town where water's all around, woods, all this stuff, to we literally live in the shadow of the Vulcan statue. Like you could look up from our door and see Vulcan.
It was
in the middle of downtown Birmingham.
It was a little different than where I grew up, but it was fun because we already had a friendship, relationship, and it was a great crew there. But I don't think I would have made it, without your friendship there, and then also, through you meeting my future wife,
right,
and then also Pastor Chris, my job. So
yep.
I feel like I helped you with your cooking career. You
Absolutely,
helped me,
there's no doubt.
The ministry career.
So let's go through college. So you had an opportunity to go to walk on at Auburn. So you were a long snapper, which is kind of an afterthought in some people's minds.
We're
like,
okay.
He's a long snapper.
We're okay with that.
Yeah, totally okay with that. But
we're humble. We're the picture of humility on a football team.
Totally.
We don't need any of the praise. We just want to serve our team.
That's so Sunday school.
Make sure we just do our job, get off. If someone knows our name, that's not a good thing.
Not a good thing.
Yeah.
So, had a chance, huge Auburn fan growing up.
Yeah, my entire family went to Auburn.
So, huge Auburn fan growing up, had a chance to go to Auburn as a walk-on, but then Coach Sullivan, Pat Sullivan, who's a legend.
Which honestly, if you said, what's your 5, he'd be another
Yeah,
one, in that
right.
group of just, had of course, known of Coach Sullivan, and as a Heisman Trophy winner and an Auburn fan, you're just, he's a hero. And followed his career, at Auburn. And interestingly, he came to my high school one day recruiting someone else, and ended up asking to meet me in a meeting as well, just while he was there. And we met, and him having at that point shifted over to UAB.
Right.
It was an incredible conversation, and of course you were there, so it kind of led to my official visit, which you hosted, which was a lot of fun. And I think the combination of really his leadership, your friendship, and then honestly just I really felt a peace from God that you're supposed to be in Birmingham. Yeah. So, but yeah, definitely a shift from what I had expected to do, which was to walk on at Auburn and to kind of follow in the footsteps of my entire family. But God knew what He was doing, getting to Birmingham.
Oh man,
it was a lot of fun.
For sure. So I knew what I was going to do growing up. Dad was a football coach. I knew.
Yeah.
Like, I went to college.
Yeah, we all knew.
I was a 17 ACT guy, so I was there to play football
Yeah.
and to go to college
Yeah.
and to go coach. So I knew what I was going to do. Kind of the anomaly. 18, 19 years old, going to UAB, going to go play football. What did you want to do at that stage? What was your end game? What did you want to do at that stage?
Yeah,
do you remember?
Yeah, it's a funny question. I hadn't thought about it in a while. Actually, my first degree I was thinking sports medicine. So
Right.
I was kind of heading in a pre-med direction. Of course, UAB works for that.
For sure.
And I was in my freshman biology class, which you remember was like 1,000 people.
1,000 people.
And probably wasn't a great presentation for the program because it felt very impersonal. And I was just sitting there one day and I was like, I don't know what it is yet, but it's not this. And I went my second semester and went undeclared major, which I lived out till they literally called me one day and said, you have to declare.
Got to pick, yeah.
But in that space, and honestly, even before that, for me specifically, ministry had, I had felt that calling, but there's no one in my family who had ever been a pastor or in full-time ministry, vocational ministry. So I didn't have a lot of context for that. So kind of feeling my way through it, but the whole while, what I did know from day one, even in the sports medicine thing, was something that involved people. I was never going to be a desk job guy. Just
for sure.
Praise God for that. But I had to be with people, and I really felt like it would involve, not necessarily coaching, but possibly teaching, but something in the same spirit of helping people reach their goals, helping people grow towards their purpose, or in this case, now in ministry, just love that moment where someone connects with God and has that relationship.
Amen. It's good. So, Jill, let's talk about Jill.
Yeah.
Jill's your amazing wife.
She's the best.
Just go through how y'all met and kind of that journey with you and her, because you guys are an amazing couple, raising amazing kids. So just kind of walk us through her and how that happened.
Well, you were there.
I was there, yeah.
So Jill played soccer at UAB, and she's from Texas, and maybe some people watching her from Texas, and they would be the first to say, everything's bigger in Texas, and including attitude. So the first thing I noticed about Jill was just that she was like this fierce soccer player. There were some soccer girls out there wearing bows in their hair. Jill was out there. She was just killing people.
She got brothers.
Yeah. So she was out there just, and I was like, man, this girl, she was very easy to notice because she was fierce. That's probably the best word to say on the soccer field. So yeah, just, developed that friendship. All of us, we had such a great friend group at FCA there, and developed that friendship. And then, and I think honestly, anyone who might be looking for a spouse, attraction is always part of it, absolutely. And there's other things that need to connect and all of that. But I think at the core of it, friendship, which is what you have with your wife, Jackie. And Jill and I were friends before we ever dated. Yeah. So when we started dating, it was, and still to this day, that's the core of it. It's a friendship.
For sure, I agree.
That's
totally
built on that. And we have a lot of fun together. I think that's the main thing is, I knew that I could laugh with her. She was up for big adventure, and she, thank God, did not have a passion to move back to Texas because I was not going to Texas. But other than that, it was a great fit from day one. So.
Good. So get married. Let's kind of try to stay with the family theme and kids. You got 4 amazing boys. Okay, so one of the things that we all as parents are always wrestling with and always dealing with mentally, spiritually, is raising our kids.
Yeah.
It's something that we always are thinking about. I'm always having a conversation with Jackie about ours. I imagine you and Jill are always discussing, the 4 boys. What is one of the things, the main thing, as raising your boys that you want them to take with them? Let's take out the obvious. We want them to know and have a deep relationship with God.
Yeah.
That's the obvious.
Yeah.
Let's talk the practical. What's the one thing that you want your kids to take with them as they leave you one day?
Yeah, I mean, it'd be hard to narrow down to one thing. And I don't know how much, I know you'd agree with this too. I'm still in the journey. So the thing I do most in this season of life is I really am always looking for great models and other parents who've raised great kids. And so personally, that's what I'm constantly doing. I feel overwhelmed. There is no manual on raising kids, and so we got a long way to go. So right or wrong, but I think for Jill and I, we have 4, and so when you have a lot of kids, it's easy for it to be a clump versus the individual. So we're really always, and especially in this season when they're kind of between 7 and our oldest is almost 11, and just really looking at them individually and helping them discover and begin to discover, because they won't at their age, but begin to discover the things that they're passionate about or that they have a natural bent towards their personality, and celebrating those things. I think the one thing I would want them to leave with, I think what's, I started out with as we talked today, is just that an authentic, close relationship with their parents, especially with me as their dad. That I don't have to always be their best friend. I don't think it works out that way, but I do know that that they know that I am for them, and that they have a deep trust, and that even when Jill and I miss it, and we try to be quick to apologize, even on our end, we a lot of times ask our kids to say they're sorry. We want to be the first ones to apologize as well when we're out of line. But through all of that, just that they would develop a deep trust. And I think if parents have that trust level, as a youth pastor, I've seen this over and over. Teenage years can be hard, and there's going to be moments. But if beneath all of the disagreements or any of the tension, there's a trust, which leads to great communication and forgiveness for each other and just relationship, then I think that we've won in those first 18 years. Because just like me, I didn't leave my parents' house knowing what I was made to do, but I had a deep relationship with my God. I had someone, or with my dad and with God, and I had someone there to walk through life with, and that gave me so much confidence. I wasn't out searching for a lot of things that I feel a lot of people are searching for.
Right. Something you said in there that I don't think a lot of parents do, and we do it with our kids. We hate doing it with our kids. Apologizing to your kids.
Oh, it's huge. Yeah.
Okay, so if you can think of one. I want you to think of one. Give me an example of when, and I'll give one too, but give me an example of when you've apologized to your kids. Like Landon's 11? No.
Almost 11.
Almost 11. And
I did it yesterday.
Okay, so talk about that.
So as you we were talking about earlier, my wife's out of town this week, and so I'm like, in dad mode 10,000.
I called you the other day. So, I'm like, hey, you want to meet for breakfast? No. Jill's out of town. I got all the boys. I gotta go.
Yeah, that's it. So we're having one of those. We're having one of those days that the night before was a late night, and so we're having one of those days where it's rushed in the morning to school, and I pushed too hard. I'm not a yeller, so I didn't yell, but my tone was definitely just intense tone. And we get in the car and we're riding to school, and that's just not how I want them. I don't want them walking out of that hectic environment. And so, we're on the way to school, and I'm like, guys, I blew it this morning. I apologize, please. And I think the key to apologizing is not just saying, I blew it, but resolving it. That's one of the things we really focus on as a family is, there's always going to be those bad moments.
Yeah. I
like having a resolution moment, and then we all reset and we go. And so I think in those moments, it's like, hey guys, if you would forgive me, and they're like, we forgive you, Dad, and then it's like, it's over.
Yes. I think that's huge, because that's one of the things we teach our kids, but we also do with our kids is, hey, it's not like, you need to ask them, hey, will you forgive me? Yeah. And you need to get a response for them, just like when they do something wrong, like when Jonna hits Tegan, it's like, Tegan, will you forgive me? It's open-ended so that they have to answer.
Yeah, versus I'm sorry.
Or instead of please forgive me.
And it's a statement.
Very much so. So I think that's huge. And and we do that too. It's very, very hard sometimes, but we do it. So transitioning to that, and I say we because we were there together. So let's talk about your first experience with Church of the Highlands.
Yeah, it was amazing. Been in church really my whole life, but really from 17 through, I was 21 when I first walked into Highlands. Been around different kinds of churches, but never seen anything like Highlands. We got invited through a Bible study at Birmingham Southern to Church of the Highlands. It was just a little over a month old. It was just getting started. Walked in the doors, And it was, what we call at Highlands, we put a word around it, which is life-giving. I didn't know that word then, but that's honestly the best way to describe it. I felt like I came in the doors, and in some of my church experience, you kind of leave a little more solemn, or you kind of feel bad when you leave, or like, man, I got to get things right, or you kind of feel the weight of that. Where the complete opposite was true at Highlands. It was like it lifted me. I felt like a new joy and a new energy, still towards maybe correcting things in my life, but had the optimism and the belief that it was possible, that all things are possible. What I love about Highlands is that even the name, higher heights, there's always something more. The best is yet to come. That John 10:10 life that God promises, abundant life is possible. And we don't. That doesn't have to be a have to. That can be a get to. I get to do this first. I have to do this. Right. I think we felt that. I think the spirit of worship was unique, and now the songs we were singing then would be considered traditional probably, but they were what people would call contemporary back then, which as a college student that was the energy of that was attractive. For sure. Pastor Chris's teaching, very practical. I'd never seen a handout, practical, and what he says, kind of even as now I've had the opportunity a few times to communicate on a Sunday, and as he's coaching me in that, our rule here at Highlands is you got to help people use it on Monday. If they can't use it on Monday, we don't say it. So even if it sounds good, or even if it's theologically true, the truth is anything in the Bible can be brought into a practical, a practical connection with people. So have the revelation, that's all in there, but then just go ahead and go the extra step of showing someone, okay, how do you attach this to your life?
Tell me what I need.
And that's what the Bible is very clear. It's a living word. And so living being, it can become part of all of our life, and that's the key.
So in that stage of our life, okay, I remember we went to Birmingham Southern. Betsy Brown, who was one of the first worship leaders at the church, really the first worship leader at the church, invited us. We went over there to Birmingham Southern. But if I'm not correct, where were you working at that time? Were you not working at Union Hill?
Not during the school year, but I was valeting during the school year. I was a valet, but during the summers I was a janitor at a local Baptist church.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So was there any hesitation after we went to Birmingham Southern? Was there any hesitation of you going to Highlands at all?
Not really hesitation. I definitely had deeper relationships in kind of in the home church kind of situation. And so what I did throughout college during the school year was, Highlands was here in Birmingham, UAB, so was there. But I was still definitely connected and have stayed connected to the people in my home church, and some of the most amazing people. I wouldn't be here without them. So, but I think there was a transition time for me. And it really wasn't about theology or denomination or even style of worship. It was more relationships. I had deeper relationships, and as Jill and I grew, and as we all grew, and those relationships transferred here to people like Pastor Lane here on staff, and Pastor Steve, and Kellen Coldiron, John Larson, some of those guys that, just over time, authentic relationships developed. And, as you grow, seasons change. Right. And then we ended up, of course, serving here at Highlands on the Dream Team for 3 years. I was through grad school. So, so there was an ebb and flow. And I think that's interesting. When people are on their spiritual journey, there are transitions. And I've really only been a part of 3 churches in my entire life.
I guess so.
But at the same time, when you look back at each of those, I probably would have thought I'd been at each of those forever. And then God just shifts you, and I honor my past because I wouldn't be here without it, and I still have those great relationships. But I think with church, when you know, and for us, it was, even early on, it was like, man, this is going to be our home. It just felt like this was a place for us to.
Well, I think that one of the things that Chris does a great job at is he teaches you what the Bible says. We go back as we study the Word. We take it, and then he also says, hey, this is how we need to go apply it. And as being in education, like both of us were raised, that's a big deal. Yeah. Because teaching us how to, because playing sports, you would watch film and then say, okay, this is what we're going to do. We'd go apply it on the field. And so I think it's very, very, and I know it's a sports analogy, but it's true.
No, absolutely.
So, and been in the church a long time. Give me your not on camera, not Sunday school answer of Chris Hodges, because he is an amazing guy. But give us your back of the house, behind the curtain view of Chris Hodges.
Yeah, truth is, God, the way God has wired him, honestly, in whatever field he was in, he would be as successful as he is as a pastor. And I think there's a unique anointing, and it's obvious that this is what he's made to do. But I think the way he's wired is what you're asking. I tell people all the time, people ask me that kind of question. I tell them, number one, his authenticity, which I think translates to any business leader, any CEO, anyone who's wanting to build something, and that is, he isn't selling a product, he is the product. And I think if you try to, people can always, now more than ever, I believe, they can always see through the sales pitch. They may buy into it, but there's always a disconnect when I feel like someone's pushing something versus they kind of are living it. And I think for Pastor Chris, what you hear on the stage is what you see off the stage. What I see in the meetings, even when because you still have, in any organization, there's intense meetings. I've never seen him one time lose that authenticity. His passion for in our case, the gospel of Jesus Christ and what we're doing is authentic. That's what drives him. There's no need for himself to grow more famous. There's no need. He's missionally driven, and I think that's that authenticity. Something else which is huge is his consistency. And I would say, as a leadership principle, I've learned from so many things, but if you were to put one on top, it would be that consistency.
Consistency in what?
Yeah, just never. He's led this organization for so long through so many different seasons, and he's kept it on point.
Right.
And him as a leader, he's consistently learning, consistently, leading from. I've been around environments and definitely heard plenty of stories from friends, from people who are serving under a leader or around a leadership environment where this leader, this year we're going this way, now we're pivoting and we're going this way, now we're doing this, and they come in emotionally all over. And if someone's out of favor, they're fired, or if they're this. Pastor Chris is very driven by principle. He's consistent. In that consistency, you get that loyalty to people and to the mission, and he's disciplined in that consistency too, where we're always growing, but we're never we're never changing everything. We're always changing one thing. We're always tweaking it, tinkering with it, growing it. Never settled, but at the same time, willing to really study something, look through it, and for him, he just has an amazing eye to see the horizon, how to move things towards where we're going. I think those two principles. He's a whole lot of fun. I mean, he's from Louisiana. People hear that, and he really is the real deal. I mean, I was at a crawfish bowl with him the other day, and just that culture creates a whole lot of fun. And he's an incredible leader. But probably of all those things, for my life, the thing that I'm so thankful for, at least, I look up to all those different areas, is as a leader, he's an empowerer. He's not a micromanager.
So that was going to be more.
So he has clarity of everything, but because he's able to deliver that clarity to the people around him, he doesn't have to micromanage them. He's in front. This is where we're going. Now I'm going to empower you, and he's a very hands-off leader.
So I was at the church in the beginning stages, just like you. I want to say, first 3 or 4 weeks of this church, we were here, 300 or 400 people at Mount Brook High School. But one of my first memories, and I hope he doesn't mind me telling the story, one of my first memories of Chris is at Mount Brook High School. He would greet you when you came to the door. He did the announcements.
Yeah.
He led worship.
Yeah.
He preached. He was at the door greeting you when you went out. And so from that, and I remember watching him lead worship in the throes of Jesus. I mean, just in the moment. And someone would hit a bad note over there, and he would give that look to him. And so to me, that may come off as, and you hit it, and you didn't even know I was going to ask this question, as a delegator. Why is he so good at that? Because this is an organization. This is a church. This is a body of Christ, but this is a huge organization.
Well, I think what you saw in that look is he's a musician, and I think in that look, the clarity I mentioned earlier is exactly that, and it actually uniquely so, because he's worked in so many different areas of the church as a worship leader, pastor, youth pastor. He's had touch. He actually understands, and with the value of excellence, understands what those environments can look like, and it's not a should look like, can look like. It's the potential of what we can do that he's pushing us towards. And so I think that's actually a perfect picture of that, is that he brings that clarity, and if it's off clarity, he's the first one to say, hey guys, this is where we're missing it. But the discipline is, I'm not going to do it there. And even the early days, him doing all those things, he was setting the standard, and as you've seen him grow through that, so that now we had clarity of what it should look like, and he's empowering people around him. And honestly, that's the only way he grows, but that's the only way we all grow. And if he's not growing and we're not growing, then the organization can't grow, the congregation can't grow. And so even all the way through the dream team, think about this, the ultimate empowerment is that he's literally giving away the ministry of the church to the saints, which is actually what Ephesians 4 teaches. And I think that's a great principle for any business, is that you can dump on people, and that's not healthy. And even delegation is somewhat like I think about it like a babysitter. Like when I delegate my kids, that I'm leaving a pretty set list of instructions, and you have to follow these instructions. That's different than empowering. Empowering is, here's the vision, here's the culture, but you got a big field. I'm going to let you lead in your own style. It's like the math problem. You don't have to solve the exact same way, as long as you get to the right answer. that's the teacher you want, right? That says, I'm just looking for the answer. That's what he's looking for. I'm not going to tell you I'm not going to micromanage how you get there, because that's why I've hired you. If I had to do that, then I'm just delegating or dumping.
Right.
But empowering is the ultimate threshold. And I think you go through seasons of that, and obviously that's something that now he's doing to us, and we're doing to our teams, and overall we're doing to our congregation. But that's the spirit of it. And everyone, the bottom line is everyone grows.
Right.
And I think people are attracted to that. They want a leader who's big enough in their own security to allow people around them to grow to their full potential.
Right.
And he's thrives on that versus being intimidated by that.
So let's talk about Church of the Highlands as a company, not as a church. I know it's hard to distinguish that, but does your CEO, Chris Hodge, is he in a constant mode of tweaking things to make them better? Is it a conversation? Is it a conversation that you guys are always having? Because there's a group of probably 6 or 8 of you guys that he's in constant contact with. Is there a constant thought of how can we make this better from the simple things that we do on a weekly basis?
Yeah, everything. Everything. But everything is constantly being looked at. But like I mentioned earlier with consistency, the question we ask each year is this is a great question for any leader. There's a lot of things we can do, and there are incremental changes we're always making in everything. Every environment, every Sunday, there should be something we debrief every service, every moment. Like,
so you do?
Oh, absolutely.
So multiple services a week, you debrief every service?
Every service is being debriefed, yeah.
That's awesome.
And tweaked. I mean, we at Highlands we have 3 morning services where he preaches live, and I meet when I'm at the campus where he's communicating. We meet together with a small group, and that's his first question: is what do we need to do better? He's changing things and getting better all morning. But the cool thing as an organization is again, that could be very scattered, and there is intentionality there at every level. But the question we ask every year, we do it in December heading into the next year, is as an organization, it's a great question. What is the one thing that if we got better in it would affect everything? And so we center the entire organization, all now over 500 staff, around everyone's department, incremental changes, growth, absolutely, but together brainstorming, energy, focus on this one thing. And we'll spend an entire year focusing on a project so that there are the critical mass or critical momentum that we would need to affect things in a large way. So I think and honestly that allows people, no matter what their job title is, to be a part of that thing. So for us, there's something we do called the growth track.
Yeah, for sure.
A couple of years ago, that was the one thing. If we did this one thing better, more people would find their gifts, more people would call their calling. We spent an entire year rewriting it, refilming it, rebranding it, remessaging it, to freshen it up to get people.
And it's the basis of getting people involved in your church.
Yeah.
And that's the huge big thing with the church this size is, it's too big. No, it's not that big.
Yeah.
It's really not, because what happens is you have your small group that's a church inside the church.
Yeah.
That's, when something happens or somebody's sick, they're the one bringing you food or loving on you or whatever.
Yeah.
So, all right, 5 questions. These are just super practical questions. Give me the honest answers. What does your morning routine look like in the morning?
Yeah, so something I'm always working on, and actually spend a lot of time even with you. We've talked in the last few months. So for me right now, 5 a.m. wake up. I'm going to be up and hopefully exercising, which I love to run primarily, and then trying to get more disciplined with weights.
Yeah, there you go.
But yeah, so 5:15, hopefully running. Back in the house is around 6. I'm going to spend my devotional time from 6 to 6:45, 6:50 in that range. A little margin between our 4 boys get up around 7. And then I have a full hour of dad time to help, get them ready. But honestly, it's a quality time for me to see them, pray with them. And then as often as possible, which is most every day, I want to be the person that takes them to school. Right. And then drop them off. And then one of the cool things I've started lately, and we've talked a lot about, just maximizing learning moments. So on the way in, I'm going to podcast something. For sure. To work, and then work day, of course. And then even on the way home, generally I podcast a sermon on the way home. Right. So kind of maximizing those learning moments.
A lot of people look up to you from a spiritual standpoint. You're on stage at one of the largest churches in the country. Your 45 minutes, your devotional time, whatever, what does that look like for you?
So right now I'm reading, of course, I like a paper Bible devotionally. Me too. I don't want my phone out. So I'll have scriptures. I have a book I'm always reading, which I'm reading a book right now. It's the Easter season on the cross. And then journal. And I think the way I'm wired, I'm not a guy who does that regimen exactly the same every day. In fact, this morning when I got up, the last few days, because I think it's Easter week, I've been reading this book on the cross, and then leading into Scripture. Today, I just spent time reading through the Gospels, every account of the crucifixion. It's Good Friday, and then ended up journaling and didn't even touch the book. But today ran out of time, and it was a great time. So that journaling is where prayer happens for me.
Good.
I'm actually a writing prayer, especially praying for people in my life. I have a list, but then my journaling is actually me just writing out my prayer. I write out my prayer in the morning. It's just a way for me to stay. It's a little more tangible focus for me.
Focus is the thing for me, because I'll be thinking, Lord Jesus, thank you for this day. Oh gosh, I gotta go get so-and-so at the grocery store.
And that's part of that's what writing does.
Yeah.
In fact, it's probably the only thing I write with a pen anymore.
Yeah,
I'm typing everything else. So it demands focus.
Right.
It's actually
So you, along with working at the Church of Highlands, you've got in essence, in my opinion, a CEO type role with Highlands College. What does a day of eating look like? Because you're viewed as the CEO type, and one of the things I hear from the CEO type is their schedule and all this stuff. Give me some thoughts on eating, because I know it's something we've talked about privately, but what does that look like for you, and what are your goals there on a daily regimen of eating?
Yeah, so I'm not Thomas Cox, so side note there. No, so I think because I was a youth pastor for so many years, I had developed a really incredibly fun habit. At 38, you just can't do anymore, which is late night eating. It's actually, I've kind of always been pretty healthy during the day. Like, it's easy for me to make healthy choices. I just like that fourth meal, about 8 o'clock. So that's the thing I'm working on the most right now. So I don't think I'm by any means an example in this, other than I'm unwilling to let it stay in a bad place. So currently I'm working through just a cut season. I don't know if it's going to work out or not, but pre-summer. But no, I think the main thing for me is that it's getting fueled. Honestly, a lot of times during the day, the negative thing I think even drives that late night eating is the fact that I'll work through a lunch.
Yes.
Pushing it where you're kind of in adrenaline or you're in the flow, then you end up at 5 or 6 o'clock at night, and you're eating. And so I think that's what I'm working on the most, is being very disciplined to have breakfast, snack, lunch, snack, and then an early dinner, and then be done with it, which is so hard.
So hard.
But you told me I can eat an apple and peanut butter late night.
Eat it. Yep.
If I need to. So.
What's your, not counting the Bible, okay? What's your favorite book of all time?
That's a hard question. I'll give you a few.
Okay.
Mere Christianity, C.S. Lewis, read it in college. Massive for me. Pursuit of God, A.W. Tozer,
Yep.
Massive for me. I think Prisoner in the Third Cell, it's a book by Gene Edwards, is another one. And Tale of Three Kings, actually both those are incredible books.
Yeah.
For me, and I'm a history guy, so there's so many different history books that I enjoy reading. And I try to read. I read every single day, so it's hard to even have a top 10 list, because there's so many books that have fed my life for sure. And I think the key is reading. And I think nowadays, beyond just physical books or books digitally, is just there's so much through the blog world and even podcast world, listening of course, but just absorbing information that's out there. And so there's never been a time in history, of course, where we had such access. And so I think as leaders, we need to maximize that and take advantage of that.
What are you reading right now?
The book I'm reading on the cross is called Strange Kingdom. It's a book by a guy named Ken Costa, who's a banker from London who just had an amazing, he's actually from South Africa and lives in London now, had just a massive God moment in college. And now he's in his 70s, and interesting combination there is the businessman. Right. He's kind of a businessman slash pastor slash prophet almost in a way. So he's a phenomenal read, and I've really enjoyed that. I've never actually read a book that is 300 pages just on the cross. Wow. That intense. I've read chapters and moments, but I've really enjoyed that intensity, and it's been a whole lot good. I'm reading a lot of stuff by Patrick Lencioni this year.
Yeah, he came to, what was he at the Maxwell event, right?
So we read The Advantage, reread The Advantage. I've read it a few years ago, and actually he has a family book Jill and I read together on the 3 questions for a frantic family. That was a phenomenal book. So enjoyed that this year. And podcasting right now, a podcast called How I Built This.
Okay, who's that by?
Guy Raz is the guy's name. It's NPR podcast.
Oh, okay.
It's on entrepreneurs and how they built their businesses. I was listening the other day to one on the Away travel company. It's a new travel company, and just how literally these 2 girls, formed this, now sold over 1 million suitcases around the world. This new product that came out of nowhere 3 years ago because they had the vision for it. They got some capital for it, and then they developed an incredible marketing plan online and just got the word out. Yeah.
What's it called?
Away.
Oh wow.
Away.
Okay. So sweet.
Yeah.
Last question. If you could go back to your 20-year-old self and sit the 20-year-old Mark Pettus down, what would you tell him?
I'll just enjoy the ride, man. I'm not a regret guy.
Yeah, me either.
If someone said, what would you change? Nothing. I mean, but there's been a lot of things that have obviously not been great experiences or negative or things I've done wrong. But at the same time, man, I think life is meant to be lived, and I would tell myself to stay true to I think at 20 years old I had dreams and hopes, and now I haven't seen all those come true, but I've seen enough of them come true. Right. So I would just encourage myself with what a lot of those guys that we knew at that age encouraged me, which is God is true, what he says is true. God has a plan and purpose. His power is real. Trust that process, have fun, and enjoy life, and don't eat as much late at night.
Don't eat late night.
So back in 2011, Chris Hodges had a vision of a college. So give me what was his vision? What's there?
We talked about his desire to empower leaders, and so since day one at Highlands, we've had an internship or a program that was available for students to grow in their leadership. 2011, we felt like it was a time to transition that to a full-on college, and it's been a journey since then. So I had the honor of kind of stepping in at that moment and helping really shape it, and really shaping it, seeing what he sees, and what we see is an environment that's more like a West Point than a traditional university. So really exciting to have different types of leadership growth happening all at the same time. So for us, that's academics. We're actually getting close to stepping into our first season of accreditation, which fall of 20.
So exciting. So how long have you been going through that process?
Since 2011, honestly.
That's crazy.
It's an extensive process, but it's been great. So we'll actually launch our first bachelor's degree in the fall of 21.
That's so
which
good.
Is really exciting for us to be a 4-year school. And so, so it's academics. Secondly, ministry training, which one of the best parts about Highlands College is that students graduate with 400 hours already having done 400 hours of practical ministry. So they're getting trained on the job because we're part of a local church.
So academic ministry. So here's the thing when I talk about Highlands College, here's what I hear. So it's a seminary. When people say that, what do you say?
Yeah, so it's a Bible school, a Bible college. Seminary would be postgraduate, so I kind of help shape that understanding of a seminary environment would happen, after your 4-year degree, and we'd have no desire to be that. So I think that's something I'm in seminary, a different school. I think it's something pastors should do, and definitely pursue that master's or even that doctorate.
Right.
But for us, we are on the front end of that. So instead of going to Auburn or Alabama or even to Sanford or another Bible college, it would be this environment. Get that bachelor's degree, get that practical ministry training, and then along with that, just spiritual growth. Which is obviously the key to all of it.
For anybody.
And then the final pillar we have is character development, which actually fits even our relationship with Mealfit and different ways that we're pulling in, helping them grow in Luke 2:52 says wisdom and stature, helping them grow in that stature, be a man or woman of character. We involve different leadership environments in that, different activities, and even a healthy, active lifestyle, which we think is a big part of their future, being healthy. If they're not healthy, then they can't fulfill their calling.
Right. So who is Highlands College for? So the kid that's in high school, and I know we have an evening program, totally different conversation.
Yeah.
But the traditional Highlands College, who is that for?
Yeah, so it would be an 18-year-old who senses a call of God in their life. We don't ask them to have it all figured out, but definitely that they would be able to, through the application process, to articulate that sense of calling on their life, that they feel called to build the church. And along the way, we train them they have 9 different options of different practicums.
That's awesome.
Everything from creative arts to technical arts to worship, leadership, or youth ministry. And they can learn how, in those different areas, to express that calling.
Okay, so at this present time where we stand today, a lot of it's being done on the Greystone campus. Tell me about the journey of the new college campus of Highlands College.
Yeah, incredible story, and honestly, way too long for this moment, but there's still a series of events. We, back in 2015, had the opportunity to begin a process of purchasing the Grandview property right there on Highway 280, which is where we're standing right now.
Yeah, beautiful.
And that's been different moments. The first purchase part of that property was the convention center, Grandview Convention Center, which we actually have a church campus there.
Right.
But then now, the building we're standing in is becoming Highlands College, and in fact, in the next few years, we'll take full possession of it. And as we do, we're going to rebuild, kind of remodel it into full-on college. And the key, people ask us why Grandview. Definitely the church side, we had opportunity for church growth. But this building specifically, because we have vision to build this college, and so this is really not for the church. This building is for the college, and it's going to allow us. The cool thing is to grow to an enrollment enrollment of well over 1,000 students.
1,000 kids.
Including dorm rooms and cafeteria.
Right.
And all the student life things you would see on any college campus. Right. There's 50 acres here, so all of that can happen right here.
So you are creating a college campus that is for
the cool thing for the people of Birmingham is they'll drive down this road here in the next few years.
Right.
And they're going to look up this hill just like you would drive down Lakeshore and look at Sanford. It's going to be a full-on college with all the things that really create that environment for a student to learn, to grow relationally, to have that moment in their life that they really got moved from their childhood into adulthood. And our dream is that this place would be a catalyst for them. Right. It would be a trampoline that would bounce them into their life, into their future. One
of the things that I tell people all the time when talking about Highlands College is I talk about the renovation, how things are going to change here, and just making it a college. Yeah. And it being, like you said, dorms and playing fields and different things like that where kids can live out that college life. But one of the things I think is very, very unique that a lot of ministry or colleges that send people out is that we have got here a actual applicable area in the Grandview campus. Yeah. So these kids can walk from one side of the building where they're learning about X, Y, and Z and literally go apply it on the other side of the building. Yeah. It's a living laboratory.
I think it's a crucial part of it, and I'm thankful. And there's lots of great Bible colleges across America, but I'm really excited about a Bible college that's not just a college that's off somewhere, and that students leave there and go find a local church. But in this case, that the local church is directly connected, and that students are learning in the classroom, and then they're immediately, like you said, applying it, and then they're learning. When they get feedback, they're getting a chance to go learn some more and apply more, and do all that within the context of both of those environments. I think it's a very efficient and effective way to train vocational ministers. Right. Vocational people are called to do that within the walls of a church.
So what your goal is in having this is, and this is what I tell people, and you correct me if I'm wrong, so correct my verbiage when I'm talking to people. I tell people that Highlands College was created to help people more efficiently reach people for Jesus.
Yeah, absolutely. Build the kingdom. So Luke 10:2 is our key verse. Honestly, this frames the whole thing. Would be, Jesus says in Luke 10:2 that the harvest field is plentiful, the workers are few. And so what he's doing is he's revealing to us the actual problem. The problem isn't that people don't need God. The problem is that people are honestly, they're not even resistant to the gospel. What they don't have is an opportunity to hear the gospel. Right. So the key is for us, the answering that prayer of Jesus is that we are a part of it. There's a lot of other great places, but we are a part of the answer to the prayer of Jesus in Luke 10:2, that we want to do our best to produce workers or leaders here who can go out in that harvest field in 2019 and beyond and build the kingdom of God. It's that simple, and we want to supply the local church with those leaders.
Right. Last question has something to do with Highlands College, may not have something to do with Highlands College. So the last question I have for you. Yeah. What, if anything, what keeps you up at night? Meaning, what are the thoughts and the things, the visions, what keeps you up at night?
Yeah, I really sleep really good at night. I think I have a lot of peace about my life and the future. Honestly, the thing that I think motivates me, but it doesn't come along with a sense of angst to it. There's a peace on it. Is just the opportunity. The Lord's thing for me would be to end my life and say, God, say, hey, welcome to heaven. Come on in, but you are here and you could have been here. Right. I think just maximizing the potential and not letting this moment slip by. Whether it be family or business, or in our case, Highlands College, and miss the opportunity, but also not having fear, in that same sense. I think that, the best is yet to come. God has great plans, and the best part is, He's bringing together the team that can accomplish that. And so I think we just stay faithful, diligent, and just never take our foot off the throttle. Just go.
Hey guys, thank you so much for joining us today. The conversation with Mark was absolutely incredible, and it was truly authentic. I talk to him on a daily basis just about, and what you heard today is the real Mark Pettus. So thank you so much for joining us. Any questions at all, please email us info@mealfit.co. If you've got someone you want us to talk to that you think would be interesting, email us info@mealfit.co. Thank you guys so much.